there's a wave coming. It's not a wave, it's more like a tsunami. Technology and robotics is going to change who we are in the future. And the people who have a grip and an understanding of how to influence their life in the most proactive ways are the people that are going to adjust more rapidly. Those who don't adjust, they'll fade to irrelevance. Welcome to the Dwayne Kerrigan podcast, and I'm your host, Dwayne Kerrigan. With 35 years in business and close to 30 ventures across 12 industries, I've seen a lot. Amid the celebrity allure of entrepreneurship, many exceptional entrepreneurs remain shadowed. Here, I team up with these hidden talents to unveil their challenges and successes. Dive in with me to unearth entrepreneurial gems, learn from our experiences, and get educated. Some of the reasons why we don't have those things is because of the emotional states that we put ourselves into. Does this make sense? Are we tracking? There are two worlds, I believe, that are out there. There's the internal world and the external world. Mark kind of alluded to this earlier. The external world, you have no control over. You may have some influence, like I can influence somebody who shows up or does not show up on time, but I can't control it ultimately. And the internal world is what we do have control, our response mechanisms, the time that it takes to respond. And when we work on things like our emotions, our meaning, it drives our actions. This is where that internal world is in complete control, because you don't experience the life that you live, you're experiencing the life that you focus on. In the external world, one of the greatest pieces of advice I got from one of my mentors, he's like my second mentor. His name was Harold Cunningham. He was truly like a dad to me. And he made me memorize the Serenity Prayer. Does anybody know that? God grant me, who knows it? God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen, brother. Understanding that saved my mental fortitude, because when I learned this, I had a business. I was 32 years old. I had a business that was about 18 million in revenue, 300, give or take, employees. And every single day I would walk around looking at shit going, oh my God. And I was always frustrated, always angry. And I'm 32 years old. I mean, I am doing okay at this time. But I'm miserable. And that lesson of being able to understand and make the distinction between what I can control and what I can't control, and having that wisdom to know the difference between the two, was an immeasurable and powerful force that I learned. We're going to walk through, let's put up the identities. Can we bring up my old identity chart? I'm going to take, oops. This is my old identity chart. I might have to come down to look at this with you guys. So back in the day, I was working with Stephen Covey. Covey calls this roles. Tony calls it identities. I want to make sure I acknowledge these guys because the work that they've done is unmeasurable. But in the days, this kind of is a chart. I actually found this while I was working on this whole identity piece for you guys. And I came across this. This I created, I don't even know what year I created this. But back in the old days, my old identity chart, this is but I reframed the name identity. It was called roles. So my old role chart was like, in our life, we all have certain, you put what you need to put around. Back then I was like, oh, I'm a dad, I'm a teacher, I'm a lover, I'm an athlete, I'm a warrior, I'm an adventurer. And so, but the distinction I was making at the time was, there was the general inside of me. And actually, there's a couple distinctions here. The warrior is who used to run the show for me. He was not a nice person. Unyielding, conqueror, never quit, killing, vicious, relentless, brave, aggressive, angry, fierce. He's the guy that ran my life for several years. But then, through time and some experiences that I'd rather not repeat, I started to soften a little bit, and I ended up on the general. And this guy is the guy that was, and he's bigger than everybody else because he leaked into all the other identities that I had. And the general was rules-oriented, disciplined, strict, unyielding, stiff, rigid, no bullshit, commanding, blah, 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 blah. Who likes working with that guy? No, I didn't. I was working for him. I didn't like working for him. And so in my journey, if we can pop up the new identity chart, over time, I recreated what needed to happen in my life. And so I did this for my wife. Through a lot of pain and self-suffering, I had to get to the point where the general just couldn't run the show anymore because it was just not sustainable. And so I went on a journey to figure out, how is this all going to work for me? And what do I consciously want my life to look at? And for those of you who know me, my number one purpose in life, my personal purpose in life, is to overfill the cup of my wife. That's it. The business can go away, the cars can go away, the boats, the house, it can all go. She is by far and away the most important and purposeful thing that I focus my energy on. I'm also a father, and I love my son, and he's here in the room. And my son is my greatest success, without question and without measure. But my purpose is my girl. Because if I focus and I show him what that man can do and how he can live, then I'm giving him lessons that will feed him for a lifetime. And so she must come first before him. That does not mean I love my son any. This is not about love. This is about focus of attention and purposefulness. And so I created the Love Slave. I don't have a description for it because it would kind of read like the porn that I was talking about at the beginning. But that Love Slave filters into everything that I do. This is me. I'm not saying this should be you. That is not what I'm saying. I'm sharing with you my journey from a lot of skinned knees and what felt like being dragged behind a car. But these are now all of my identities. So there's the Love Slave, there's the best me, he's the philanthropist, and he's also the person where I have a tendency to stay in my work. And when people go, hey, let's go for dinner or let's go play golf. Nah, I got no time for that, I gotta work. And so I created the best me, actually. He popped up only just a few years ago because I realized that I needed another part of me to kind of integrate. I'm not a balanced person. I completely am aligned with Mark. I believe in integration. And so I integrated that best me into the whole complexity of my identity chart. I have the athletic adventurer, we call him the Silver Surfer. And because I'm bald and he's bald, that makes a lot of sense, right? The profit seeker, the outrageous father, the chairman, the student, the peak performance coach. So inside my business, I have 3 identities. Profit seeker, chairman, peak performance coach. I'm gonna show you a little bit more of the chairman now. Actually, let's bring up the chairman. So I'm not gonna read this whole thing, but I want to give you guys an understanding of what this looks like. So I created this identity. We're gonna do this together. But in the chairman identity, sorry, hey guys, how you doing? Inside the chairman identity, this is the script that I wrote. This is for the physiology of this identity, okay? So I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but it's like, I sleep 7 hours a day. I actually sleep 6 hours and 35 minutes. I'm 6 hours and 35 minutes last year, and I'm already on track. Literally, if I pulled up my phone, you would see 6 hours and 35 minutes has been my average. But I sleep 7 hours a day. I rise out of bed with enthusiasm each morning. I ritually exercise to re-energize my cells with oxygen, the lifeblood of my existence, keeping me in total peak competitive state. I'm a lean 200-pound man with external drive and discipline. I remain calm and relaxed, listening and waiting for my opportunities. Then my intensity peaks and I strike like a lion. Who gets the feeling of what I'm talking about here? Yeah? So can we flip over to beliefs and focus? So now there's a statement for beliefs and focus. Actually, I'm gonna come back out because I can't read this shit. I'm a powerful force flooded with opportunities from all directions. I have an empowering source of positive energy that lusts to serve others in my quest to build an empire. I think of the positive and I consider my options and their consequences and for those around me. I am a deal maker, the emperor of acquisitions, while I bridge the gap in negotiation. Take a note of the language that I'm using, right? I'm a deal maker. I'm not just acquire companies. I'm the emperor of acquisitions. While I bridge gaps in negotiation, I provide not just outcomes, positive outcomes by looking at the beginning, the middle, and the end. Does this make sense? Was there a language one here? I think yeah. So the language one, this is just the questions that the chairman asked. The chairman asked, what's a powerful choice right now? How can we be even more outstanding? Where's the opportunity in this? What don't I see? How can we make this better? Do you see any disempowering questions in this identity? No, you don't. And I don't ask a lot of disempowering questions. That doesn't mean I don't ask disempowering questions. Of course I do. I'm a human being. But the time and distance is so short now. Before it would be days, maybe sometimes weeks. Well, it's never really weeks, but it would be days. Now it's moments. Now it's thoughts. And then all of a sudden, the priming of this over and over and over again comes in. So there is no fucking negotiation. Does this make sense? How many can feel that this is actually what happens inside my body? So I have an incantation. Right? So you create an incantation. Positive energy flows through me like electricity as I create blinding opportunities for people to grow and operate my companies. I am the cultivator of people and the king of my marketplace. So this is a very fast and instant incantation that I can create. If you saw me before I was speaking, about 3 minutes before I got on stage, I made a powerful physical move that gets me into state. I made an incantation. And boom, I'm in state and I'm ready to present. Code of conduct, this is a code of conduct that the chairman lives by. The chairman lives with passion. He's focused, balanced, compassionate, never backs down from a worthy challenge. He's assertive, determined, inquisitive, persistent, unyielding, hardworking. You get the sense. So the role models you can see up here, I think I've got Tony, I've got Harold Cunningham, who I had mentioned, Paul House, who was the CEO of a company called Tim Hortons, who I know very well, and Keith Cunningham, who I had mentioned earlier in the program. And so I just write, hey, what do these guys mean to me? Sometimes you are not in the place of where you want to be. That's okay. We're really never in the place of where we want to be. That's because we want to be there. So borrowing somebody else's identity, borrowing from them their practices, their processes, the way they carry, the way they relate, it makes it easier for us to move from inside and put it into the external world. So for example, I get into a tough spot and I'm thinking on a big problem, or something pops up in the middle of a meeting and I'm like, immediately I say what would Paul do in this situation? What would he say? How would he react? What might the question be that he asked? Because if I can't access it in myself, because back here, when we go into the spot, This is hard to recognize in the moment. Every time my wife and I have an encounter, not sexual, I mean a fight. Every time we get into an argument, we have a practice. It's ritualized. Every single time after the fight, we go back and we go through a list of things. There's, I think, 10 or 11 of them on the list. And to try to figure out what caused it. Was it my primary question? Was it one of the 6 human needs? Did I attach a wrong meaning? Did I go back and was it, my current life condition is not equaling my blueprint? So there's a list that we have that we go through because it's not me, it's not her, it's a situation. We just failed to react to the situation the way we wanted to. So we don't take it personally and we just go back and go, okay, now I got it. Okay, next time that gives me more information to handle it in a different way. We're gonna go through the identity framework with you guys. Who's up for creating an identity? Okay, here's what I want you to do. On a piece of paper, you can go back and you can look at some of the things that I had on mine, maybe something popped into the head for yourself. You don't have to get this perfect. This is not about perfect. This is about progress. This is about starting the process. So we are now going to create an identity. In order to do that, you need to select one identity. So you need to pick a role. What is the role that you are missing if you want to keep it to business, I'm going to keep the example to business, but if you want to do this in your personal life, I'm totally in favor of it. And here's the reason why I'm in favor of it. I believe that business is a series of relationships. That is what life is. Life is about relationship. Business is no different. It is simply a matter of managing those relationships. And sometimes it's not the relationships in the external, it's the relationship with yourself that needs to be managed most. And so whatever you guys pick, I'm good with it. But here's what we want to do. Is we want to write, and we're going to do this, I'm looking to capture 10 to 20%, not 100%. So we're going to do like a 2-minute writing exercise here. It might not even be 2 minutes. I'll walk around and then we'll flip to the next step. But I want you to pick one and don't get stuck on it. Like if it takes you longer than literally 15 seconds to pick the one, just pick one. It's not about the one you pick, it's about the process. Because inside, if you go recall the identity chart, my new identity chart, not only do I create those identities, my entire schedule, if I showed you my laptop, is colored based on my identities. So I integrate all identities across my planning and solitude for the week. So that every single week, I make sure I capture each identity so that I'm integrated. Does this make sense? Okay, so pick an identity. If we can maybe put some music up, we're gonna pick an identity and I want you to write, what would you want the people in your life, in that area, to say about you at your funeral? The beginning of writing your own eulogy, right? So I'm assuming if it's a owner, chairman, whatever identity, it's not gonna say something like, oh boy, he was a real hard prick, never had a positive thing to say about me. We're looking, what do you really want them to say? And what this does is it future casts who you want to become. Let's throw some music up and let's start writing on the eulogy. And if anybody has any quick questions, I'll come out to you and we can quickly chat about them. If not, I'll be wandering around. Great question. So somebody asked me, are we writing words or are we writing sentences? You can do it any way your brain works. You can do a mind map. You can do questions. You can do sentences. You can pretend, visualize. Here's the power in this. Visualization is an immense power. So visualize people being at your funeral. Who are those people? It's not, if you're a business identity that we're talking about, it's not your wife and your kids. They don't know shit about what you did in business. It's the people that matter most inside your business that you want to hear from. It's the people that you are influeing, that you're changing in your lives. What does it mean? What does it look like? Who do you become? What are the musts? What are the must-nots that this individual would do? How do they share? How do they care? And let's be realistic. Let's have realism in this writing. Let's not forget that, hey, I've shared a lot of value to the people that have worked for me in the past. Some of them haven't liked the value they got. And that's just the reality, right? We're not looking to lay up a softball here. If this is your business identity, who do you want that business identity to be? Part of my identity is, like, I'm not easy to work for. And I don't want to be. Because if I make it easy for everybody, nobody's growing. Does that make sense? Okay. So my goal here is for you to only get 10 or 20%. Okay? The reason why we're doing this is because if you don't leave with a start to this, 99% of you are going to go away, and this is going to become shelf help, not self-help. That's the reality. I've been to like 35 UPWs, 13 Date with Destinies. I've seen hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people go through Tony Robbins seminars. And the difference between the ones who are successful or move faster through the process are the ones who are doing the work, doing the writing, constantly really thinking and focusing. So the second area of this is, what does the physiology look like? Right? And you don't have to write this. You can take this in stages. I've changed my identities. Like, it feels like I've changed my identities more times than I've changed my underwear, for crying out loud. So you don't have to be exactly where, like, if you're 250 right now, don't write 200, write 230 or 240. If you need 10 hours of sleep, don't write 7 hours because it was 7 hours of mine. Like, if you're that person that needs 10 hours sleep, get your 10 hours sleep. Build that into your identity. Be realistic. Physiology. Let's go. How's this person use their breath? What do they do in the morning to make that happen? Do they meditate? Do they cold plunge? Do they do saunas? Do they work out? What kind of training do they have to do? You don't have to be a professional athlete. You just got to get the body moving, because motion is emotion. Where's the joy? Where's the fulfillment? Where do you find peace in your life? Where do you build confidence? Where might you run low energy in the day? Everybody has a time in the day where they have a low sense of energy. And sometimes we have times, like whether it's in the morning or in the afternoon, where we have a peak energy. Utilize that energy. Maybe you'll set your schedule in a way that allows you to perform at a higher state. Get specific. Where does your tension live in your body? For me, it comes into my chest and it explodes out of my hands. It builds up and through and out of me. Where's your emotional home? My emotional home's anger. Sometimes I'm not proud of it, but I use it. Where's your emotional home? Is it fear? Is it joy? Is it laughter? Okay. The next one would be beliefs and focus. And we're not going to go into it because we're running out of time. But I do have a gift for you. We have created an agent. And so at the end of my session, before you leave, we will post it on the screen. I think that's how it's going to happen. And the agent will walk you through this process step by step. It'll ask you all the questions. It does not allow you to finish before you're done. You can't skip a step. I have presented this content to hundreds and hundreds of people. Less than 5% of the people ever take action on it. So when you get onto my website for the podcast, they'll give it to you. Like I said, we cannot see what you write. We don't know who you are we do know how many people are going to log on. So I'm going to report it back to Dad, aka Mark. But rest assured, we cannot see what you write. I got no interest in what you write anyways, but we can't see it. It's total privacy. It's totally locked in. I knew I wasn't going to get through this, and so I, last minute, had these guys build an agent and post it up to our site, and that's for you guys to walk through this process. I don't expect you to do 8, but trust me, you have at least 6 that are already in control of your integrated humanity. And so I would recommend that starting with 1 and moving forward in the process. Actually, can we just go to integration slide for 1 sec? Because I want to make sure. The integration slide, guys, you can do the work, you can write the thing, it's a really cool exercise, it's awesome. And you'll learn from it. But if you don't integrate it, it will not take hold the way you want it to. So this is part of the framework that when you go through the agent, but here's what I did. I got on my bike every single morning when I did my cardio, whatever your ritual is, I'm just telling you what mine was. And every day I read a piece, a chunk, not the whole thing, a chunk of my identity. So maybe it'd be the physiology, then the focus, then the beliefs, the incantation. I would read it, and my commitment was this one thing. I would change one word, just one word. Anybody can change one word. You change one word. You read it every single day, and you change one word inside the paragraph. And that's how I got to those specificities about the language around how that gets developed, right? I'm not just, whatever it was, a deal maker. I'm like the most incredible deal maker, or I'm a fantastic deal maker. It doesn't matter what the word is. What it means is it's the more descriptive, the more precise. The more precise, the more that you will bring it into your mind. You have to give up who you think you are in order to become who you want to be. That's the truth. There's something you have to give up. That does not mean that there's anything wrong with any of us, but there is a version 2.0. There is a version 3.0. This is one of the most important things that I think that I could teach you. I had an opportunity to come on stage and share with you this information. And the reason why I think it's the most important information that I can share with you, because there's a wave coming. It's not a wave, it's more like a tsunami. Technology and robotics is going to change who we are in the future. And the people who have a grip and an understanding of how to influence their life in the most proactive ways are the people that are going to adjust more rapidly. And if those who don't adjust, they'll fade to irrelevance. And that's not what I want for you. I mean, for the next several years, I'm going to be walking shoulder to shoulder with you guys in this industry. And I want all boats to rise. While the tide is slowly and shrinking on us if we're not ahead of it. Can we bring up the seasons, the 4 seasons? I think part of identity, and I'll try to blast through this because I'm starting to run out of time. There's 4 seasons in the economy. There's spring, growth, low inflation, everything is working in phase. This is the identity. The identity that needs to appear here is the builder, right? But in summer, you have the environment is growth, rising inflation, costs are rising, margins are tightening, but you're making money, cash is flowing through, and the identity that shows up here is like the profit seeker. In fall, the environment starts slowing growth. Within disinflation, weak players begin to crack. Does that sound familiar? Sounds a lot familiar, doesn't it? The identity here is the strategist. And in the winter is recession and deflation. The environment, the economy is shrinking. Fear begins to dominate this situation. The competitors start falling. But with that comes not only the survivor, but the opportunist. And it's incredibly important for you guys to know where we are and where you are in this whole process. So understanding the season, I'm not here to profess that I'm an economist, but if I was a betting man, I would put us somewhere between late fall and early winter. And that is why this community and what Mark is doing is super important. If we could bring up I don't know how many stages is 8 stages of the entrepreneur. Yeah. So I'm going to skim through this quickly. You guys are all going to get access to this printout, I guess, somehow, somewhere. I don't know how that happens, but we'll make it happen. The 8 stages of the entrepreneur. So now we know where we are in the environment, in the economy. Where are you as an entrepreneur? You know, step 1, dreamer, birth. This is where you get the vision and the excitement of the false excitement of owning your own business. You know, you move to doer and teenager, which is like an owner operator. Everything is depending on you. The identity is if I don't do it, it won't get done. 3 is the survivor or infancy stage. The identity is I must make this work. 4 is the controller, a young adult. We need order. This is the strive to start to formulate your business structures. 5 is the delegator or midlife, where you start to have a management team and others can carry the load. The architect or maturity is I build a machine that produces a result, or a machine gets built and it produces a result. The institution builder, which is the company outlives me. And then the 8th is the steward or legacy. I'm responsible for legacy, right? Where are you on this trend? Where are you on this curve? It's important to understand, because the next one is the life cycle of a business, right? Birth, infancy. Some of you are at birth where you just took on the risk to become a business. Some of you aren't even there yet. Some of you are about to do it. Infancy, it's you Inc. Cash is an issue. You're in survival. The business is in survival mode. Toddler, you're managing by crisis. Cash flow is an issue. Teenager, business, crisis by management. Money becomes not an issue. You're growing, you're innovating. You become a young adult, or your business becomes a young adult. Systems focused, anticipating the future, rebirth in an identity, maximization, reaping the rewards, sustainable systems, sales and profits. Then it rolls down into midlife. Breakdown starts to begin. You're innovating or you're dying. You age. Becomes denial. Talent leaves. You're a victim. You become institutionalized and you're on credit, whether it's from banks or partners. And 10, you're dead. This is really, really important to understand where your business is in this life cycle. You cannot, as much as you want, jump from infancy to maximization. You have to go through these processes. You can speed them up. You can influence the time, but trust me, you can't really skip a stage. So understand where you are on this life curve, or your business is on this cycle of business, but also understand on the previous one, if you could just quickly flash it up. I'm going to use me as an example. I think I'm probably somewhere between 6 and 7. Mark's an 8 without a doubt. I'm somewhere in between 6 and 7, I think. Probably means I'm a 6. But if you go back to the other one, we just bought a business. And that business is like somewhere around the toddler stage. So how do I have to shift some of my identities in order to become from, stage 6, 7 to working in a company or running a company that's maybe a 3 or a 4, right? There has to be an identity shift. If I don't catch that early, that can create a lot of pain. So the entrepreneur moves through stages and the economy transitions through seasons. And your business will evolve through its phases. But here's the key. The leader who survives all of this is going to understand this because they shift their identity in all three dimensions. This is where it gets super powerful. My mentor taught me several years ago that I should keep a log of lessons learned. And, this is a warrior sport. It requires intellect and it requires heart. On the heart side, it takes will and it takes courage. The will to kind of push you through all the levels that you need to go to persevere through the worst of the storms, because there's going to be a lot of storms. And sometimes will is the only thing that will get you through. But courage to me is the foundational value. That doesn't mean you don't go forward unafraid. It means that you go forward in spite of fear. But what courage allows us to do is to be vulnerable. It allows us to reach into ourselves and find that vulnerability, because the vulnerability is how we go deep in all the other emotions and values. Whether it's love or growth or discipline or rejection, awareness, commitment. Without vulnerability, it's hard to access those deeper values. On the intellect side, it really requires thinking and skills. The book is called Think and Grow Rich, not Go with Your Gut and Get Rich. Because gut stands for gave up thinking. And so thinking is a critical point of how we get through. And I encourage you all, one of my disciplines over my life in the last 15 years is to spend 1 hour a week of absolute deep thinking on 1 or 2 questions that I pre-select at the beginning of the week in my planning and solitude, and I schedule in my calendar to sit down. I do it with my iPad and a pen. It used to be a paper and pen. And the key to the thinking is never let your pen off the paper. That's the key. Doesn't matter. The question, not so much. You'll have 365 questions to think on over the year, but never let your pencil leave or pen leave the paper. Our power is our love, guys, and our power is our caring. But we need strategy to go along with that. Without the strategy, we lose the standards and structure within the organization. And once structure and standards are gone, confidence goes out the window. And when we lack confidence, we start to question the people and the processes inside the operation of our business. Preparation is the glue that holds it all together. The Navy SEALs have a saying that you often think that you will rise to the occasion in the moment. But what actually happens is we fall to the level of our preparation. And what I'm trying to do is just give you guys some insight on how to be prepared. I've been keeping a log of lessons learned for about 15 years. I titled it, Mistakes Are Inevitable, but Learning is Optional. I've been in business for 40 years, and over those 40 years, I've had some unbelievable experiences. Experiences that you probably wouldn't believe. But I'm grateful. Some of them have been good, some of them have been bad, but I'm grateful for every single one of them. But I wrote this down because I knew I wouldn't be able to remember this, but I have made some intergalactically stupid mistakes. And along the way, it's resulted in near catastrophic events and failures. I've almost been bankrupt 3 times. I've had to sleep with a gun under my pillow for about 3 years. I got divorced from my first wife. I was separated for 2 years and almost got divorced from my second wife. I have a daughter that won't speak to me. And upon reflection of my lost opportunities and misguided decisions, my wealth should far exceed its current level, and my dumb tax is almost incalculable. So I've been logging lessons along the way. The failures that I did have at the time that seemed catastrophic did not emerge to be the disasters in the moment that I felt they would be. Every bad idea I ever had started with a good idea at the time. Every argument, fight, or judgment that I experienced began and ended with my own ego and the need to be right. You can either be right or you can be rich, but you can't be both. That which I resist most in others is what I have yet to accept in myself. Although this is an exciting game to play, the totals in my win-loss column that I continue to stack up will quickly be forgotten after I'm gone. But how I played this game, that'll be remembered to the people who matter most. Everything I do should be done with intent of mastery, because taking those lessons that I've learned in this life may just well serve me and make a difference in my next life. A lack of standards, rules, and commitment caused most of the mistakes I've ever made. Excessive optimism, unexamined assumptions, and ignored risks are the wallpaper in your coffin. Designing your life is a hell of a lot better than surviving your life. The 5 people that you spend the most time with will need to change as you climb the ladder of success, because the reality is most people are afraid of heights. Catching a big wave is not the same as being a good swimmer. There's a difference between happiness and joyfulness. When the shit hits the fan, you don't have to be happy about it, but you can find some joy underneath all that shit. How you run your business during the good times is the only true predictor of how well your business will cope in the hard times. As Warren Buffett said, stupid in small things, stupid in big things. Progress is not always measured by ground gained. It's sometimes measured by yards not lost. Every great championship team wins with an aggressive offense and a focused defense. They think about prevention, protection, and risk. My mentor, Harold, said getting rich is easy. Staying rich is incredibly difficult. He was 100% right. Speed and greed necessitate aggressive leverage and increase the odds of destruction. In the past, my desire for growth and size was based on ego and greed, not strategy of wealth. A lack of cash or cash flow is kryptonite and kills every superhero. The cost of tolerating an incapable or misled employee is far greater than the discomfort of having a tough conversation or a speedy termination. Lack of time, allocation, and the planning to go along with it has produced most of my inconsistent results. Stay lean, even if you can afford to get fat. Keep your overhead low. Only spend money if it's going to help you get a customer or keep a customer. Carving out weekly formal think time has provided me with a return on investment of monumental proportions. Yeah, I know, is a bumper sticker at a crash site, and listening is a gift that is not opened frequently enough. Mistakes will happen. The only person who thinks you should be perfect is you. Give yourself a little grace and love yourself just a little more. Thanks. I'll tell you, my greatest fear in life is on my final day to meet the man that I could have been. My entire pursuit of mastery is to be able on my last day to be able to look at that guy and say, I recognize you. I know you. That's my gift for all of you. I'm so grateful for your friendship, your community. I appreciate your attention. I really look forward to years ahead together, and I thank you so very, very much. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you being with us.
If you found value in the show and know a friend or coworker who could benefit from this conversation, please share the link. Remember, each share creates a ripple effect of knowledge and inspiration. And if this podcast has supported you in any way, please support us by clicking the follow or subscribe button.